There's a new Disney animated film out in theaters right now. Got my Lion King shirt on, and it's a sequel to the very first film I reviewed on this channel. So can't believe it's been 8 years since not only that first film, but the start of this channel. So how does this sequel compare to the first movie? Well, let's find out. Hey movie buffs, I'm Jack Benner and welcome to my review of Moana 2. Moana 2 is the newest Disney animated sequel to 2016's Moana. Set after the events of the first film, Moana assembles a wayfinding crew to break the curse at the lost island of Motufetu, where she later reunites with the legendary demigod Maui, voiced again by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Before I get into my review of Moana 2, any new viewers coming across my channel for the first time, welcome to my channel. I am Jack Benner. I talk about movies on here. I do movie reviews. From time to time, I do some lists on here. So you like movie content? Like what you see so far? Definitely considering that like and subscribe button for more exciting movie content down the road. Now, I absolutely love the first Moana. Moana and Maui are such a great duo in this movie. The animation is gorgeous, it's funny, has exciting action, good emotion, and of course the unforgettable soundtrack from Lin-Manuel Miranda, who also did a great job with Encanto, for many great songs such as Where You Are, How Far I'll Go, probably the best song in the film, and You're Welcome, which 8 years later, that song has never left my head. It's always been stuck there, just, it won't leave. And also Shiny is such a fun song too. And that reminds me about that song, Shiny, from Tamatoa, and something about that character. He would later become a mascot to a particular YouTuber who does YouTube poops, ranking videos, movie reviews, and cinematic disaster reviews such as Shark Tale, Shrek the Third, Ralph Breaks the Internet. Wonder who that YouTuber is. How do you do, fellow kids? It is hands down my favorite Dwayne Johnson movie. It is altogether one of my favorite Disney revival era films, my second favorite behind Zootopia, one of my favorite Disney animated films, my second favorite animated film of 2016 behind Zootopia, and it's in my list of my top 10 favorite films of 2016. It has great rewatchability. I've watched this movie so many times, and it's such a funny, exciting, heartfelt adventure that I adore. And as I said earlier, quick little fun fact, Moana was the very first movie I ever reviewed on my YouTube channel. Although that is a very crappy review, it is such a bland, poorly lit, and awkward review. Movie does hold a special place in my heart. Not only do I love it, but also the start of this channel. So thank you very much, Moana. And for those who have stuck with me since that crappy Moana review or my early days of YouTube, thank you. You're awesome. I love you. After Moana received 2 Oscar nominations, such as Best Animated Film and Best Original Song for How Far I'll Go, it was an acclaimed and beloved film by critics and audiences, grossed over $600 million worldwide, and is also the highest streamed movie on Disney+. So how would I feel about a Moana 2 happening? Honestly, I'm conflicted. On the one hand, it was a great way that first film ended, and if it was a standalone movie, I would have been very satisfied. But on the other hand, Disney loves to make sequels, so Moana is very popular, so of course they would want to do it. And also, Moana's growth and character development could lead to an interesting continuation. So when it was announced early in the year that Moana 2 was happening, and it was originally going to be a Disney Plus series, but then they decided to give it a theatrical sequel, I was excited, but also nervous hearing that. Could Disney have a good idea that this is too good for Disney Plus? Let's give it a theatrical release. But I was worried that were they going to rush out a Moana sequel after box office disappointments such as Strange World and Wish? Those movies weren't well received by critics, and my worries were increasing after the absence of that first movie's directors, who also had a Disney background in other films such as The Little Mermaid and Aladdin, and disappointingly, no Lin-Manuel Miranda for the music. So regardless, I went into Moana 2, liking the trailers, was optimistic about it. As a huge fan of the first film, I was hoping for an exciting new adventure with this sequel. Even after hearing mixed and middling reviews, I still went in open-minded. Maybe I'll enjoy this movie, and this sequel could be good. Then I saw Moana 2 on Friday, and I left pretty disappointed. Now, I wouldn't go far as to say Moana 2 is an awful movie. It's not. but compared to the first movie, it's a step down. This sequel felt rushed, had a messy narrative, and just lacked what made that predecessor so amazing. And it is definitely one of the biggest disappointments I have seen this year. To start with my pros, easily, the biggest compliment I can give Moana 2 is its visually stunning animation. I would go as far as to say, in terms of visually stunning animation, this is one of Disney's most visually stunning animated films they have done in a while. From the attention to detail on the water, islands, character designs, and how colorful and vibrant it is. And there are some amazing shots with the animation, like one scene with a whale that were just jaw-dropping to admire. And there were even some other opportunities for the animation to become more colorful, like in certain musical numbers, like one with Maui in it. Now, even if there's one thing that really disappointed me with their chemistry, Auli'i as Moana and Dwayne Johnson as Maui, they remain as charismatic as ever in their respective roles. They return to these charismatic roles with such ease, always willing to give it their best. Carvalho still shines as Moana, still smart, energetic, and determined. And Dwayne Johnson does maintain his usual The Rock humor and charisma. Something I admire about the first film, as well as another Disney animated film like Lilo and Stitch, I still admire how culture is represented here in an interesting way. Like how it represents some parts of Polynesian culture in an interesting and insightful way. From their island, history, mythology, and lifestyle, it's all very insightful and interesting for both kids and adults. And there are some interesting ideas on what this sequel could have been. Maybe some interesting threats or challenges for our heroes to face. And there are some moments where it does try to have that charm from the first movie with the fun action, like one sequence with the Kakamora. And for other pros, Moana's little sister, she's adorable. That's where my positives end, unfortunately. To start with the cons, easily, my biggest flaw with Moana 2 is the sloppily put together narrative. Where the original plans was for this to be a Disney Plus series, watching Moana 2, it felt quite obvious it was. It is just structured like multiple Disney Plus episodes comprised into one movie, where it just feels like one episode to the next episode. There was like the Kakamora episode, then to the clam episode, then to the climax. And my fears were realized that this was a rushed sequel, not giving enough time for interesting world building or more character development. Rushes all of it together, and it felt more like a tease for Moana 3. Whereas the first film took more time with its story, it took more time to flow and develop. And it just wasn't as well paced as the first film. And the threat in this movie is just not interesting enough for emotional stakes to be invested in, nor does it have a fully realized story for it to be engaging enough. And one really disappointing aspect in this sequel, Moana and Maui just don't have that same great chemistry or that spark they had in the predecessor. Auli'i and Dwayne Johnson are still charismatic and enjoyable in this movie, and for the first half of this movie, Moana and Maui are separated, and it just doesn't give enough entertaining interactions between those two characters I enjoyed so much from the first. And it just takes a while for them to, like, can they just reunite already? Just hoping there's still something there. And most of the film, you're just spent with Moana and her wayfinding crew, and leading to them, they are just forgettable and one-dimensional characters. As for three of them, there's this one engineering girl with an axe, there's this Maui fanboy, and the grumpy old man. And that's basically all they amount to for this movie. And their personalities is just basically what they amount to for this movie. They weren't exactly funny nor all that entertaining, and honestly, some of their comedy gets kinda annoying and tiresome pretty quickly. And just mostly with their incompetence, I was like, yeah, I'm not really enjoying these characters that much. I just don't really care about them that much. But at least I found them more enjoyable characters than Asha's friends in Wish. There were like 7 dwarves. Like, seriously, what were their names? People who have seen Wish, what are their names? I don't remember them. Was one of them Simon or something with a D? I don't remember. And a major step down from the first movie that was so disappointing, the soundtrack. And even without the great Lin-Manuel Miranda doing the film's music, I was willing to give the soundtrack a chance This could be a great soundtrack, but hearing them in the movie, they just don't hold a candle. They just lack that emotional punch they really needed. There are some that are kinda entertaining. I did enjoy Maui's Can I Get a Chihu song, but it's No You're Welcome. And some of them just don't really have that emotional punch to like, yes, I want to listen to this over and over again or sing along to them. And it all just felt like inferior done work from the first movie. That's the Where You Are song, the How Far I'll Go song, but not as memorable. And it's just a poor replication of Lin-Manuel Miranda's work from the first film. Trying to replicate that fast-paced hip-hop musical style he's known for, but just didn't entirely stick the landing with it. And the villains in Moana 2, they're kind of boring and just a tease for the next movie. Not only do I feel like this Thunder villain, Nalo, he's just kind of a boring, been there, done that villain who wants power. It just felt like we don't have a lot to do with this villain. We're gonna tease him for the next movie. And another character that was wasted potential. Not only with Nalo, but his enforcer, Matangi, who's this villain residing in a lair inside a clan with a bat colony. And at first, I thought this villain could be potentially entertaining. I was liking her manipulative personality so far and thought she had some like cool powers. And she does have potential for an interesting backstory with her history with Maui. Thought maybe this could be a fun, opposing threat to our heroes. But then, she becomes a total bait and switch. After her song with Moana, she decides to help our heroes, turn against the villain, and never be seen again in the film. What? You seriously had potential for a villain right there, and you don't do much with her? You instead make her wasted potential. What the heck? To sum up, as someone who adored the first Moana, Moana 2 was a colossal disappointment for me. Yes, it is visually stunning, and there is some charm on occasion, but the messy narrative, underwhelming songs and antagonists, and the absence of what made that predecessor so exciting and wonderful just wasn't there in this sequel. In a way, this would be kind of similar to how I felt about Frozen 2. I do know I really liked that movie when I first saw it at the time, but over time and thinking about over the years, my scores went down to a 3 out of 5, where the highs in Frozen 2 are really great. But the things that hold it back for Frozen 2, and with the story that could have been expanded upon more, underdeveloped characters, has a lot to be desired. I'm curious to hear what you think about this sequel, if you love that first Moana film like I did. And if you did enjoy this movie, that is awesome. I'm really happy to hear you had a great time with Moana 2. Or if you didn't like the first Moana, I don't know if the sequel is really going to change your mind at all. And as for my verdict, I do know this movie is making a killing at the box office. It's one of the highest opening weekends. And this and Wicked have been two musicals that have been dominating box office. And I wouldn't really be surprised if this movie makes $1 billion worldwide. And as for my verdict, I'd say just wait for Disney Plus. And this was originally going to be a Disney Plus series, so I'd say just wait for that. Because honestly, this just felt like a Disney movie to just pass the time on Disney Plus. Now, I have heard that they are planning to do a Moana 3. I really hope they do a better job with a Moana 3, learning from their mistakes, and more time to develop and take more time with the story. And now to grade it, I'm going to give Moana 2 2.5 stars out of 5, a C+. This would be my second biggest disappointment of the year behind Joker 2, and this and Kung Fu Panda 4 are two animated sequels that really let me down this year. I would say it is better than Wish, since I really hated that movie. That was just an empty, soulless movie that was just a lackluster way to celebrate that company's 100-year anniversary. And next year, I am quite worried about Zootopia 2 as someone who loved the first Zootopia. I do know it was always planned to be a theatrical sequel, and the same directors who did the first Zootopia are coming back for the sequel, so I really hope that Disney sequel is much better. So Disney, please next year, don't screw up Zootopia 2. Please. So I would like to hear from you guys. What do you guys think of Moana 2 if you've seen it? Do you agree, disagree with my review? Or if you haven't seen it, are you interested in seeing the film or not? Let me know down below. Did you enjoy hearing my thoughts on this movie and want to see more reviews like this in the future? If yes, please hit that like and subscribe button if you're new here, and don't forget that notification bell for my next upload in the future. It really means a lot. All my social media links are in the description down below. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And if you'd like to see my written reviews, I do have a Letterboxd account, so if you'd like to follow me on there as well. And until the next video, I'm Jack Benner, and look forward to another movie review.